Gold, still a highly sought after commodity and still a most treasured measure of value when used as a descriptive term about a person, say, with a heart of gold, or a company that truly insists on applying standards of excellence to every aspect of its business. Incisive Media's Gold Standard Awards, now in their 9th year, reward financial companies where gold standards and outcomes are to be found throughout every seam of their operations. Today at the House of Commons, companies are collecting awards that recognises the application and endeavour they've each put in to be judged favourably on 5 pillars of excellence: financial strength, capability, service, fair value and trust. How financial services companies treat their customers is a subject we're going to hear an awful lot more about. Let's hear from a judge how these companies taking part in these awards were judged on the area of treating customers fairly.
Well, there'll be 3 key elements that we'll be looking for. One is a process around developing products around the customer. Secondly, be making sure that there's a very high quality staff development and training scheme in place. And thirdly, a way of interacting with customers so that they have continuous service feedback.
Let's ask the winners what actions they think the industry as a whole should be taking to restore trust in financial services.
Well, I think that the Treating Customers Fairly initiative has covered a lot of the points that needed to be addressed there. And going forward, the commitment to education for financial advisors and the removal of the bias that Commission puts on advisors is going to cover the rest.
I don't think you can say that the whole industry, or tar the whole industry with the same brush. I think there are some parts of the industry that have been functioning very well, others that do need to become more customer-centric, need to have more controls in place to ensure that the right level of customer delivery is paramount and at the forefront of everybody's minds.
I think the key is openness and transparency. So make customers feel welcome, and if we make mistakes, have a bit of humility to make sure we put them right and we admit the mistakes that we make. I think it's also really important to have very straightforward products.
I think the industry is already on the right lines of taking the right control of financial services. Certainly with the implementation of the RDR, getting explicit with fees is very important for the end consumer, and also explicit with charges as well.
I think as an industry we need to start putting the consumer, the client, at the centre of everything we do. Stop looking inwardly and arguing about real or perceived vested interests.
Well, it strikes me that the financial services industry has distanced itself, either intentionally or unintentionally, from clients. So I think it's our responsibility really to show some empathy, to show that we understand our customers' needs and that we have products and services that can really help them out with the day-to-day issues that they face.
These winners have put themselves through the Gold Standard Awards stringent audit assessment, revealing just how far down the road they've travelled to guarantee good customer service, staff training, effective communication and fair pricing, all of which actively encourages the public to participate with its products and services. Getting people to take personal responsibility for their finances is a key plank of government strategy going forward. So I want to ask the winners what one thing they would change to encourage this.
The one thing I would do to encourage the take-up of financial services amongst the general public is to start education much earlier. I would start it in schools. What we're doing sadly now is we're educating young people that debt is a good thing with student loans, etc. I would get them onto the savings track much earlier through a proper educational programme within schools.
I think in the longer term it would have to be education. I think we have to invest more in our children and make sure that the education system is making sure people leave school with a good financial understanding. If I can be sneaky and have 2 in the shorter term, I think it's, again, the industry needs to simplify the products that it offers and just make it clearer so that customers who've got products today can have a better understanding of those products.
I think it would be very helpful for consumers and their advisors as well if the government would not tinker with pension policy as much as they have done in the past. It would be very good to have a clear commitment from the government that the current legislation is protected as far as tax-free cash and vesting rights from 55 and so on.
I think we have to make it interesting for people, and we have to start really young. So it's about getting into schools in a non-partisan way to make finance part of everyone's life. It is when they grow up, and it should be when they're younger. And the younger we start people on understanding what finance is all about, the better it will be.
Education at a very early age, getting people to understand the real value of money is, I think, critically important if we're going to get people to take control of their futures.
Well, I think it's important to focus on the positives, and this is probably the stance that the government could lead with. Everything that we read in the press, that customers see in the television and news coverage about pension underfunding and how they're going to have a terrible retirement and the state won't fund it, is really all bad news. And I feel that people are not really motivated by fear, that positive messages is likely to give people much more motivation.